Tubers, dubettes, various crazy people. Hey, welcome back to the little channel. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone on this video and out of my wheelhouse, if you will. I've never wanted to be the information channel or the advice channel, but I think that I've done this once before, and I'm going to go ahead and do it again. This is more of like a community service video, if you will. There's been number one, there's been a lot of excitement generated lately because the Philippines on February 10th is opened up for tourists. And today is the 6th. It'll probably be the 7th by the time I finish this because it's almost midnight right now. And which is unusual for me. But that being said, I made a list of things that I think would be important for you to know, or at least would answer some questions that guys have had, the most oft asked questions. And they're the same questions if I look back 5 years from when I first came out here, of how do I do this and how do I do that? What should I bring? How do I move money? In fact, I actually wrote all this down, if you can believe that. So what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to try to do it as quickly as possible, is things that I think are important for you to bring when you come out here in your suitcase or your carry-on. I'm going to talk about money, how to transfer it. I'll get into that in a minute. Throwaway ticket, that has been a big topic that guys are confused about. I was confused about it, so I'll go over some of the nuances of that. Banking and healthcare, and that's about it. I'm not going to cover everything. I'm sure that what I tell you, there are going to be guys that are going to be able to comment on this and maybe give you even better, I hate this word, advice. And then read the comments. But I guess the first thing I want to say before I dig into this is do your own research and do due diligence. Caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware. I'm not going to get into all the requirements that you need to get on a plane and off a plane. I would refer you to different YouTube channels. One is Jennifer Terry has a very good channel, and then there's a guy named Grandpa Vlogger, or Vlogger Grandpa, something like that. These are locals. These are Filipinos and Filipinas that know the drill, and they're staying on top of all that stuff. So they're better at it than I am, and I would just refer you over to their channels. So anyway, I think what I'll do is I'll just start with what you should pack in your suitcase, or what I wish I had done when I came over here, what I would have done different. The first thing is, if you are a big person, man or woman, and when I say big, I would say over 5'6" as far as height, and saying more than 150 or 160 pounds. If your waist exceeds a 32, if your shoe size exceeds a 9, I would triple up on the clothes, because it's where I live here in Dumaguete/Valencia. Those sizes are difficult to come by. And so if you're only bringing a limited amount of shirts or shorts or trousers or shoes, even underwear, if you have a good sized waist, or if you're tall, if you're 6'2", I would bring extra clothes. And that's if you're going to be here for vacation. Obviously, you can pack accordingly. If you're moving over here permanently, you might consider an extra piece of luggage just to bring that stuff with you. Again, I'm not telling you what to do, but there's fair warning. If you're a big boy, if you're a big girl, bring clothes that will fit you. Because if you're thinking about coming over here and you'll just pick up all new stuff, that's what I thought I was going to do, and I was not able to do it. The other thing is electronics are more expensive over here than they are, at least in America. So if you have a laptop and a nice phone already, great. I would duplicate them to some degree. So I've thought it over in my own mind. If I would have brought my nice computer, and then I probably would have gone to Best Buy or wherever, or Walmart or whatever, and I would have picked up another new laptop for a couple, $300 or $400, whatever your budget dictates, and just left it in the box and put it in with my stuff. Same thing with a phone. I would have if you've already got a nice phone, great. I would pick up another phone, like a Samsung, an Android phone. If you're using an Apple product, that's fine. But over here, the Androids are a lot more popular. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But duplication, I think, is key when it comes to stuff like that. So if you, like I came over here, my computer eventually pooped out, and I had to buy a new one. And I ended up buying it off of Amazon because of the price difference. I got a bigger, better, faster computer. I paid the freight to get it shipped over here off of Amazon, because if I went down to the mall and looked at the exact same thing, number one, it wasn't the exact same thing. It wasn't as good. And it was just more money by like about at least 25%. So forewarned is forewarned on that. I don't want to beat that to death. Okay, so let's get into money. When you come over here, there's a couple of things that you really do need to do. Number one, you need to contact your bank. You need to contact your credit card companies and let them know that you're moving over here, so that when you get here, they don't deny you if you want to use your debit card or your credit card, okay? So contact them, let them know you're coming, what dates, and they'll take care of the rest. I would set up and I did set up a transfer service to move my money. So I use Zoom, and there's other services. I'm not recommending Zoom, it's just telling you what I use. They're probably more expensive than the other ones. There's Wise, which used to be TransferWise. There's Remitly. Again, do your own due diligence, check into those, how to transfer money. And I would set one of those accounts up in the States or in Britain or in Canada or wherever you are prior to coming out here. I wouldn't try to do it after you get here. And then if you're going to be doing your banking and you have US Bank, Bank of America, all that kind of stuff, that's fine. But the most popular banking option out here for the expats is Charles Schwab, simply because the Charles Schwab account reimburses you for all the little fees. If I don't have a Charles Schwab account, I wish I did. I'm going to go back to the States in a month or two for a couple of weeks, and I'm going to set all that sort of stuff up. But if I use my debit card out here and I take out $100, by the time they're done with my home bank's fees and the fees that they charge out here, I got to pay $12 just to get $100. So that's ridiculous. Charles Schwab, you put the card in, you take out your money. My understanding is they go ahead and charge you the fees. It'll show on the ticket, but at the end of the month, they reimburse you for it. So it's free debit stuff. Now, people say, well, why do I need to have a transfer service like Zoom if I've got my debit card? I can just go to the ATM and get the money. And that looks good on paper. But there's going to be times, kids, where you're going to go to the ATM and it's not going to work. It's going to be offline. It's going to be out of money. The line might be, who knows how long. The 1st and the 15th of the month out here is when everybody gets paid. There are not a lot of ATM machines like there are back home. So that's the reason why. It's always good to have a plan A and a plan B. Conversely, I've gone to transfer money via Zoom and they've been offline. And so the way that I solve that problem is this. I didn't wait to the last minute to move over my money. If I needed the money on Thursday, I would instigate that transfer on Monday or Tuesday. And I have gone down 5 or 6 times in the 5 years I've been here to go pick up the money on Monday or Tuesday, and they said, we're offline, it's not working, we're updating the service, or they're just on holiday and they've closed down, etc., etc., etc. And how do you do that? Well, I brought a form. What did I do with it? And it's not going to show right because I'm on selfie mode here. It's going to be backwards. But when I do a Zoom transfer, I just fill out this form, and it's just sender, receiver. And so Paul McGill is sending Paul McGill X amount of dollars. It's going to ask for my address, my phone number. When I do a Zoom transfer online, it gives me a 10-digit code. I write that down on this piece of paper. I show my ID, and I hand it to the guy, and he hands me the money. I send dollars over, and then I'll convert the dollars into pesos right there on the spot. And that's how that's done. Banking, the biggest question I get from guys is, Paul, I've got Social Security just like you. Do I have my Social Security check deposited into a Philippines bank, or do I do it in the States? I can't tell you what to do, but I will tell you this. I have always had my money in my American bank account. It's been gone from Social Security into my bank. Then I use Zoom and I transfer it over. I've also used my debit card a couple of times in emergencies. Paid the freight as far as the fees, but I did it. I don't personally like the idea of having my money directly deposited into a bank over here. There's just too many nuances with banks. I won't get into all the details with you, but some of my experiences have been less than positive. And opening a bank account over here is not really any kind of easy thing. When I went to do it, they wanted 2 pieces of local ID. So when I showed up, I didn't have any local ID. I had a passport and a driver's license from my home country. So that didn't work. And I eventually opened up an account, and but I never transferred it over. I know guys that do it. I'm not saying don't. Just telling you it's not my cup of tea. So we covered the Charles Schwab thing. That's the ATM. We've covered how to transfer money over, and we've covered debit card transfer. I think that's it. Anyway, let's move on. Here's the caveat. I'm glad I wrote this down. I mentioned cell phones. And guys are going to comment on this, that they do it different ways, and that's fine. All comments are welcome. Here's what I did, and I'm so glad I did. When I was in the States, my cell phone carrier was T-Mobile, and it was $50 a month for like some unlimited plan. When I came over here, I called T-Mobile up, told them I was coming to the Philippines, and I said, hey, how do I make a phone call or receive a phone call if I leave the country? And they said, well, you upgrade to an international plan, and that's cancelable at any time. Am I ever glad I did that? And I think it was $15. So we went from $50 to $65. And I simply maintained my T-Mobile account when I came over here. I'm sure it all applies to Verizon and the rest of them, Sprint or whatever. Because, remember I transferred money? The first 2 or 3 days that I was here, I had cash on me. I'll get into that also. And I had cash in the bank at home as a reserve. And then when I got here, I said, you know what? I want to make sure this transfer thing works, because I was in a minor state of paranoia when I first showed up. And I did. I transferred it. I had to have an internet connection, and that was dicey because I was staying at a hotel with a weak signal. But I got my Zoom, and I did it, and I got my 10-digit code, But before they would send me the money the first time, they did a safety check, a security check, which you can't argue. I mean, they're looking out for my best interest in security and safety. And you know what they sent me? A text. They said, okay, we just sent a text to your Nevada phone number, and we need you to push yes or no or whatever it was. It was 5 years ago. I don't really remember. And I said, oh man. And I got on and I had to jicky jack around with the same phone, find the text, push yes, go back, and got disconnected, of course, and went through this whole drill. But long story short, if I had it to do all over again, I would have zoomed over on the computer and left my phone free, because I'm not good at flipping through different screens. Got the text, done that, and then completed the transaction on my laptop. So a lot of guys will say, well, you don't need that because you can use Magic Jack and you can do this and you can do that. Peace, do it, have fun. Just be cognizant of the fact that you need a friggin' internet connection to do some of those things. And an internet connection is not always up and running, or the signal is weak, or it dices in and out. So, okay, I won't belabor that fact. The other big dealio was, and one other thing I'll hit is you can use that. You can also use things such as Western Union to send money to yourself. There's just a variety of ways to go. Again, just do your own due diligence and check it out. And I'm not here to tell you how to do it, but, do it the way you feel good. Throwaway ticket. That has been probably the biggest bone of contention in the messages that I've received, and it confused the hell out of me too. So let me go over it with you. When you come out here, when you buy your ticket to come to the Philippines, you're going to get what's called visa upon arrival. That's a 30-day visa. And yes, that's renewable after you get here, up to 3 years. They haven't changed that. They were talking about changing it, but they didn't. So, excuse me. So that's all the same. You're here on a tourist visa. But the airline will not let you on the plane if you don't have a ticket that within 30 days you're either doing a round trip deal. So you're going to arrive here on February 10th, and then you need to be getting home within 30 days of that. So you have to have a round trip ticket, or you have to have a ticket to another destination. In other words, you come to the Philippines, you're here for 2 weeks, and then you go to wherever, Sweden. And that means that within the 30 days in country, before the 30th day hits, you exit the country, either via the round trip or a different destination. So what is a throwaway ticket? Well, a throwaway ticket is a ticket that you buy and then you never use it because you really don't leave the country. It's just to get you on the plane. And so for $12, you can use a service called My Onward Ticket. And I did that when I was coming home from Vietnam, and it was an absolute nightmare because My Onward Ticket is good for 48 hours, and I bought it 72 hours prior to doing it. I didn't read the fine print. So by the time I got up to the ticket counter, I didn't have an onward ticket. I didn't have a throwaway ticket, or whatever you want to refer it to as. But that's available. When I came out here the first time from America, I bought my ticket, and I think 2 or 3 weeks into the trip, I found a ticket that was like $38, and it went to Hong Kong or something like that. I flew into Cebu, and the flight was departing from Manila, and it was going to, we'll just say Hong Kong, so I don't really remember, for $38. So I just bought it, and I got on the plane. I was legal. got into the country, never used the ticket because I never went to Hong Kong. Guys, right now the plane tickets are pretty expensive. So what other guys have done, they're a lot smarter than me, which is most people, they've been buying tickets, say to Hong Kong, and maybe they're 150, 200, 300 bucks, whatever. And it doesn't have to be Hong Kong, obviously. It can be anywhere in the world. But what they buy is a fully cancelable and a fully refundable throwaway ticket on their credit card. So they land here, they're supposed to leave in 2 weeks and move on to Taiwan, and they've got this $200 ticket, and they just call the airline up and say, I cancel, I want a refund. And there's your throwaway ticket for free. So there you go. All right, I want to jump onto healthcare real quick, and then I'll wrap it up. Healthcare, I think there's a requirement, in fact, I know there's a requirement now that you must show proof of health care. And again, I will refer you over to, what's her name? Jennifer Terry on that, because she just did a video. She does a video like every 6 hours updating stuff. Or Grandpa Vlogger, or Vlogger Grandpa, something like that. Health care, if you're going to need travel insurance to get in here. I self-insure. I have Medicare, Medicaid, and so I have Plan A and Plan B. I figured if I have anything serious happen to me out here, I would simply go home and let that kick in. So if I had some sort of long-term, something that was going to require long-term care, I just have to, pick up and go home and get that handled. I self-insure and I have Phil Health. Phil Health is 17,000 pesos a year. I think that's about 350 bucks. And May has got Phil Health, and it's like, I don't know, a quarter of that because she's a Filipina. Her coverage is a lot more comprehensive than mine. My Phil Health will pay about 50% of the hospital bill, a little bit of the doctor bill, and I don't think any of the medication, where hers would be a lot more comprehensive. I simply have set aside money that if I have to go into the hospital, that I can pay the bill and get out. Again, if I have long-term care needs, then I would probably end up going back to the States. So on your health care, you cannot use your, well, I shouldn't say that because I don't know it for a fact. I know I can't use Medicare out here. I can't file a claim, in other words. Gentlemen that have been in the, and women that have been in the service, they can use their VA, but it has to be for an existing condition. So if you come over here and you've served your country and you've got the VA medical deal going on, and you had, I don't know, let's say psoriasis, and you were being treated for that, you could go to Manila, where I believe is the VA hospital, and they'll treat your psoriasis. But if you crack into a car on your motorbike and break your leg, my understanding is they won't cover that. So again, you're going to need to want to look into separate travel insurances for medical if you want to, or set aside X amount of dollars for what might be a medical emergency or need. And then the last thing as far as medical that I'm going to get into is medications. You'll want to bring a bunch of your own medications if you're bringing them, and you'll want to bring your prescriptions over here with you also. There are times, most of the medications that you're taking, again, there's so many thousands of them, I can't list them all. Most of the medications that you're taking, if you're taking the cholesterol and the blood pressure and this and that and the other, those are available out here, but not always. So again, like the money, if you need to fill a prescription, don't wait until it's your last 3 pills. Wait until it's your last 30 pills, and then go and fill it. You'll probably need to see a physician to get a prescription written for here in the Philippines. So you'll want to show your previous prescription from your doctor, I'll just say in America, to the physician out here. He or she, they never have a problem with saying, fulfilling that need, saying, sure, no problem, let me do that for you. Cost about $10 to see a physician out here, a doctor. I had a gentleman ask me, is insulin available? And I said, you know what, I don't know. And I have a son that's a type 1 diabetic, juvenile diabetic. And I thought, that's a very good question. So I asked today. I went into Rose Pharmacy, and I said, hey, do you guys have insulin? And so you can never just get a yes or no answer for a yes or no question out here. But 10 minutes later, I finally pried it out of the woman that they do have insulin readily available. I guess there's different brands of insulin. You will need a prescription for it. And I don't know the cost. So that's the insulin question. As far as narcotics, if you're on, I've had other guys ask me, hey, Paul, you know, I'm taking pain medications, I'm taking opioids, or I'm taking a Ralzapram or Xanax or Valium. Yes, you can get those medications, but not that easily. The anti-anxiety medications like the Xanax or the Valium, you definitely need a prescription for, and there are only certain pharmacies that will fill them. Here in Dumaguete, there is one mercury drug that will fill, say, for Xanax or for Valium. As far as the opioids, I honestly don't know. I don't know anybody taking them. I don't take them. I gotta figure that they're gonna be really difficult to get. And I just don't have the answer for you. So I hate to end the video on something like that, but I'm just being honest with you. All right, one other thing. You're bringing money over. You can bring up to $9,999. When you bring cash, make sure that you bring only $100 bills. Make sure that they are brand new and don't have any flaws in them, or they will not take them. So, good Lord, we're going on 30 minutes. I thought I could do this in 15. The bills need to be hundreds. They don't want 20s, they don't want 5s, they don't want 10s. Hundreds, and get new ones. Go to your bank, write them a check for whatever you're gonna bring, 5 grand, 1 grand, 10, 99.99, whatever. And then you say to yourself, well, what do I do with all that cash that's in my wallet or in my bag or whatever? Is it going to be safe? I'm going to check into a hotel, this, that, and the other. Some hotels will have safes, but one thing that's really popular, and I brought this out because a friend of mine gave this to me, but this is called a lock tote. And it's got a whole dealio here where you cannot cut it open. It's got a combination to it, and you can wrap the cord around something like a pipe or something that's unmovable, and leave that in your hotel room. It would probably be safer than the hotel safe. So lock tote is one of your options there if you're bringing a lot of cash. My deal was I brought a fair amount of cash. I think I brought $6,000 or $8,000 or something like that with me. And I thought I would just come here and open up a bank account and stuff it in there. Oh no, I couldn't open up a bank account. So that was a little stressful trying to hide all that money, and I didn't have a lock tote. So anyway, I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff, but I tried to hit the high points. If you're coming, I'll reiterate. I'll go ahead and make the video friggin' longer. Clothes, phones, electronics, please, please, please If you're a big boy or girl and bring more clothes than you think you're going to need. Have your phone unlocked. Make sure you have an international plan on it so that when you're receiving calls, once you get here, you can get a local SIM card, cancel your home service if you so desire. I'm sure there's a bunch of freebie stuff that you can do, but the freebie stuff, a lot of it requires an internet connection, and like I said, that's not really stable out here. All right, well listen, I'll just shut up, and hopefully that answered a few questions for you. I'm sure there's plenty more, but feel free to comment because a lot of you guys are a lot smarter than I am, and you can give additional information that will hopefully help the guys that are coming out here, especially for the first time. All right, as usual, I hope this finds you well, and I look forward to meeting you guys if you come to my area here in the month of February and March. Okay? See you later.